With immigration, obviously, we talked about that very sad news there about people dying crossing the channel. The Rwanda Bill, safety of Rwanda Bill, comes back on Tuesday. Amendments are about to be tabled to this. They've got 60 rebels as well. You're going to have a lot of trouble this week.
Yep, it's awful. I mean, the bill is awful as it stands. And
why is it awful?
Because of the first of all, obviously, we spent 300 million, I think. We've had no one go already.
Well, you've had 3 Home Secretaries.
We've had the conditions, which are we take them back within a certain time period if Rwanda want to send them back. We have the conditions of we pay for their accommodation over there. We have the conditions that we even take some people from Rwanda in here. I mean, honestly, who has negotiated this deal? It needs sacking. I mean, it's awful. I mean, I wouldn't vote for it. I mean, and I think obviously, I think what is it, 60 MPs now who have now who are waking up to it. Liz Truss included. Yeah. So hopefully there can be some pressure to at least have some amendments in it. I agree with the deterrent aspect of it. I agree with that, but it's rubbish.
Charlie was really interesting this morning, saying that I was very surprised to see him push back on that and say that actually it would be too strong, too firm.
I think Charlie often doesn't want to push against the current government plans when they're in place. What happens, though, when they make the amendments and the One Nation Tories...
then walk off in a huff?
So what happens?
Well, I wonder, it'll be interesting to see how split the Conservative Party is on this, because I believe...
Very.
Yes,
No, I believe that there are more One Nation Conservatives, about 100, I think, and so there are about 60, so it'll be interesting to see if they can edge over 100, then perhaps, but then you've just fractured your party, haven't you, at that point, so I don't know, I think it wouldn't...
You only need how many to vote against? 40?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So let's just move on very quickly, because I found this fascinating, and I wouldn't I? There's been a survey commissioned by Arron Banks, the former UKIP donor, which was done in Clacton. Now, Clacton's a fascinating seat for lots of reasons, not least because, of course, it's a massively Brexit-supporting seat. Douglas Carswell won Clacton as well. Now, they've done this survey, and they asked whether Nigel Farage would do well in Clacton. Now, apparently, according to this, he would win the seat with 37% of the vote, beating the Tory incumbent by 10 percentage points. They put this to Nigel Farage. Well, he knew it was taking place. He says, I have to say to you that this poll does make the balance of probabilities towards getting back on the pitch stronger. Fascinating. The Farage factor. Do you want him to come back?
100%. Because, as we pointed out just now, the Conservatives can't even agree on the direction of deporting illegal immigrants or migrants in this country. We need Nigel. And I think if Nigel came back, reform would go to 15 to 18%. I think in a lot of seats, particularly Brexit seats in the north, I think you see them challenging a strong second place. And I think if Nigel came back, I think it'd be the final nail in the coffin for the Conservatives. Then we can wipe them out the next election.
There's a head bowed over here.
We can wipe them out the next election and start all over again with proper Conservatives, proper conservatism, and actually fight back this woke liberal agenda and get our country back.
So obviously I know Nigel very well.
It's unrealistic.
Sorry?
I said it's just unrealistic.
What is unrealistic?
Kind of just what you touched on.
No, well, hang on. Let me just say, for him to say that it's changing the pitch or whatever else, that is your biggest nightmare if he came back and fought Clacton, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was unrealistic in the sense...
Are you spluttering again?
No, I'm not. I'm just thinking of what I should say. It's unrealistic in the sense of that they would just replace the Conservatives. I just think, for better or for worse, we have first past the post, and that, unfortunately, stops new parties coming in. And I think, look,
did you say fortunately or unfortunately?
Well, I mean, look, I see the benefits to proportional representation. I've always said that I see it as a true form of democracy, but we don't have it, and that is the fact. And I think, look, Nigel Farage is an excellent politician, whether or not he'd like to be classified as that or not, but he is, and I think he will scare the Conservatives. But then again, you have to look back. A very recent case study was obviously 2015. UKIP were polling around about the same as that Reform are now, and it's a shame of the 5 million one seat kind of thing. So it makes me think it's just going to be a case of that's 5 million votes that could have gone to Conservatives.
But if you go back to 2019, when the Reform Party stepped away for the Conservatives,
because it was the right thing to do.
Is it not the right thing to do in reverse now?
If
Nigel comes back.
The Conservatives should try and broker something with Reform UK, but maybe they they think Reform UK won't be very receptive to it because they won't want to have a discussion.
Why do the Conservatives think they have an automatic right to governance? You don't. You are just one party. Yes, you may be the oldest party, but you have absolutely no right or claim to be in number 10. You're doing an abysmal job on the right wing of politics. You are a joke.
I think
your party is an absolute joke on immigration, on Northern Ireland, on your party deserves to be obliterated.
No, the thing
and you need to come to the table and realise that actually the voters do not have you in confidence. They don't trust you. They don't even like your political class. We didn't even vote in the Prime Minister, for God's sake.
Why don't you say what you feel?
No, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm feeling better now.
I mean, to be fair, Harrison isn't in government.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not yet.
And then I'd be one of those career politicians. Although it sounds like you would be as well.
What would you do then? OK, so look, the Tories are in trouble. People don't feel that they're a Tory party.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were Rishi today, coming up to the election, to bring back these votes that are going to Reform?
I would invite Richard Tice and Nigel Farage and Mr. Bull and these and I'd say, look, they would have loads of focus groups. Let's not kid ourselves. The Conservatives will know how happy and unhappy parts of their party are, and they will know that the right of their party are unhappy. And the way that then they will be looking at alternative parties like Reform UK. I would invite them in and try and get a consensus, because the thing is, both of them can work together in the sense that Reform UK know they're at a disadvantage because of the system in place, and the Conservatives know they're at a disadvantage because they've been in power.
But let me just put this to you. This is about trust, and Reform UK or the Brexit Party stood down in favour of the Conservative Party, and that is still something that comes back to bite them the whole time. People say to them, can we trust you not to do that again? Reform UK has made a pledge saying we are not standing down for the Conservative Party. That cannot change.
Well, maybe it was an error making such a... because...
Or maybe it was an error to double-cross them.
No, I agree, and we shouldn't have. But I think to say something like that, although I guess it's a good negotiating tactic, but to say something like that means you've basically pulled the drawbridge up of potentially collaborating with your chance of being in government. I mean, it might even be...
Why?
No, because it might even be...
Why would you want to be
you never
a bunch
know.
of charlatans?
You never know. Let's just say Labour falls short of a majority, and it might come then to the Conservatives trying to form a coalition with Reform. I mean, and at that point, would you still...
But at that point, it's a different scenario, isn't it?
I'm going to need something stronger in my coffee, Harrison. No, why should we help...
It's only 8:56.
No, I'm about to say... It's 11 o'clock somewhere. Why should we help the Conservatives? The point is, you have...
Because you need us.
No, we don't. No, you need us. You need our vote.
No, you need us.
You've wasted 13
We need
good
each
years.
other.
No, we don't need each other. You've wasted...
Let's hold hands.
14 years of good governance. We had an opportunity in 2019 to change our country for the better. You have absolutely eaten yourselves apart.
Hold on. But it is
Last
better.
word.
It is
not better.
No, it is better compared to Corbyn. So it is better to what it could have been.
Technically, that's a totally illogical point. You can't just say we're better than the bad guy.
Right.
You can't.
Let's breathe deeply.
He's my favourite.
And bring it to a close there.